And I have Ellie and Olivia. I have the preschool, and I have Rebecca. So I am so excited. Just one more minute and we can start. And make sure you have a pencil if you want to just sketch it in first, because we'll do it 2 times. The first time I show you all the steps, so you know exactly what we're going to do. And then the second time we'll do it together and you can get really creative. Okay, so we can start because it's 4 o'clock and it's time for our painting session, and I'm so excited for you to be here today with me. So Center, it's a long name, isn't it? But they are awesome. So thank you so much for letting us do this program every week, because we have the best time doing it. And especially on a day like today where there's some snowfall and it's really cold out, we can come inside and we can do this cool painting. So we are going, or if you want to draw, you can always draw if you don't want to paint, that's fine. We are going to do this reindeer painting, and it's a reindeer selfie. I kind of want you to pretend that he took my cell phone and he got it with his hooves and he took a picture of himself, this friendly reindeer. And you can think of a name for my reindeer by the end, because he doesn't have a name and he's really friendly. So think of a name, you can chat with me and let me know what you want to call him. And I have lots of fun facts to tell you about reindeers as we go through this, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you take a look at this. Take a look at my reindeer. Take a look at the shapes that we're going to use. Antlers, and I put trees in the background, but you can think of whatever you want for the background. So you don't have to do trees in the background. You can come up with a lot of different creative ways to do the background. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this down. And I am going to do this with a marker. Before I start though, I want to just remind you that if you want to share your paintings with me at the end, you can share them with me. So it's Roey, Ebert, Art, but ask your parents first, okay, or your teachers, and they can share your paintings with me at the end, or your drawings. I can't see your drawings or see you drawing right now, but I can chat with you if you have a question or if you want to just say hi. But this is my Facebook page, Roey Ebert Art, and then you can share your drawings with me, and I can share them with my friends at Capital Blue Connect. Okay, so that would be awesome. So what we're going to do is I'm going to draw this painting and then we'll do it together. All right, so the first time you can just sit back and watch, you can do all this, you can just follow along with all the steps. And then the second time we do it, you will know all the steps and then we'll do it together. Okay, all right, you ready? First time I see Pierce join me. Hi, Pierce. Okay, you ready? What we're gonna do first is he's gonna do a selfie. So we don't want our reindeer, or maybe you do, but I have my reindeer kind of off to the side. So he's kind of like looking onto the camera. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna put a big circle, kind of crooked on a diagonal on the side of the page. And that is going to be where his nose and his mouth are gonna go. Okay, so I'm going to do a big circle, but it's not in the middle of the page, it's off to the side. So that's going to be my first step. Next, what I'm going to do, and don't worry, I'm going to go through all these steps again. The next step is I'm going to do a rainbow shape. And you know how I like rainbow shapes, right? So the rainbow shape is for the top of his head. All right, that is our second step. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put his ears in, or her ears. You can do whatever you want. You can do a boy reindeer, you can do a girl reindeer. And do you know that both the female and the male reindeers, they both have antlers, both of them. So you can do a male or a female and you can still have the antlers on there. So you know what? I think I'm going to make it not so pointy at the top. I'm just going to round those ears. Not so pointy. I made them a little pointy, didn't I? Okay, so I'm just going to round it at the top. So 2 ears off to the side. You see how he's like a little bit crooked? It goes across the page. It's not straight. Next, I'm going to come back. I'll put the antlers on later. Next, I'm going to come back and I'm going to put that nose right in the middle. And the nose is a big oval. Big oval. In my reindeer, I actually painted the nose red. And do you know what? A lot of reindeer have, well, most reindeer have like a red tint to their noses. So they actually do have red noses. And it's because they have all these blood vessels in their nose to keep them warm. Isn't that cool? I never knew that. I never knew they actually had red noses. I thought that was just Rudolph, but I guess that's a lot of the reindeer. So I learned something fun today by looking up reindeer. So I'm going to make this huge oval right here, and that's going to be his nose. Let me show you the sample again. We're going to paint that red then. Okay. I am going to do a huge smile because I want a friendly reindeer. And look at with this shape right here, you can do a lot of different animals, couldn't you? Before we put those antlers on, you can make this into maybe a cow. If you wanted to, or you can make it into a lot of different animals, just these shapes, these fun shapes. You could really have fun with it and change the nose, change the ear shapes, change the size of the head here. So you could really get creative once you know the steps to this painting and have some fun with it. All right, what I'm going to do next is his eyes. So his eyes are on the side of his head. Okay, they're not in the middle like ours, they're on the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the top of his eyes. I'm going to do these arc shapes, rainbow shapes. We like rainbows. Okay. Oh, he looks friendly, doesn't he? Friendly reindeer. And then I'm going to put his eyeball right in the center. So I'm just doing 2 circles, just like that. And then underneath, I'll just do another line, an upside down rainbow. Okay, so that's how I'm going to do his eyes. I am going to put his neck right here. So I'm going to do 2 lines right to the bottom of the page. And I want to put his neck on because I want to put a nice jingle bell collar on there. So it's going to wrap around. I'll probably paint that red. You can even put little Christmas designs on it if you want, or holiday designs. You can put some big bells on it. So it looks like a holiday reindeer, okay? And then I'm gonna go up to the top and I'm gonna do those antlers. So I have a fun trivia fact for you. Well, actually, I'll ask you the question. Do you think the reindeer's antlers are the same on each side? What do you think? What's your guess? Do you think they're the same on each side, or do you think one is different than the other? What do you think? You can take a guess. You don't think they're the same? Actually, I read that they are the same on each side, and I was really surprised. I thought they were different, but each one is like fingerprints. So their antlers are like our fingerprints. They're all different and they're all unique, but usually they grow the same on each side, which I thought was really interesting. So what we're going to do, if you want to try to make them the same on each side, you can, but it just depends how much room you have. So try your best. If they're not the same, that's fine. I'm going to go in and out, and maybe I'll have it come all the way over to the side and just have fun with the antlers. You can, and I'll come in here to that top one and then come back down. So do you see over here, I ran out of paper, but I just pretended I still had it. Okay, so we're gonna do the antlers on this side. I can probably sneak a little bit of that down there so they look like they're matching. Okay, these are the steps so far for the reindeer. So what we do first is we're gonna do that big shape, big oval right here for his nose. Then we're gonna actually put the nose in. Then we're gonna put his mouth in. Then we're gonna do a rainbow shape for his head. We are gonna do 2 rainbow shapes for his eyes. We're gonna put his eyeballs in. We are going to put a little arc under the eyeballs. We're going to put the ears on. We're going to put the neck on. We're going to put a fun collar on him so he can do jingle bells, or he can just be decorated with fun holiday colors. And then we're going to come up here and you're going to get really creative with those antlers and try to make them really creative and cool and twisty. And you can, all of our antlers will be different because they're all unique. So each reindeer will have different antlers, which is the cool part. Now the fun part, well, I think the whole thing is fun, but I think you can get extremely creative in the background with what you're going to put behind our reindeer. So I put trees because he would be in the frozen forest. So I wanted to put some trees behind him. So I just did some lines first. And then I went back with my green paint and just put a lot of green color, 2 different kinds of green color, and I'll show you how then behind him. But you can do whatever you want in the background. You could have a starry sky, you could have a winter wonderland, you could have polar bears in the background. I'm sure you're going to get really creative. So I can't wait to see what you're going to do. Even more reindeer you could put in the background. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this down. This is our first run through, our reindeer selfie. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it down so I can pick up my paintbrush and we'll do it all again. I'm going to show you how to shade some of these areas so it'll look like the nose is, you know, really 3-dimensional. We'll put a little highlight in the eyes and we'll shade this guy's head and his neck and his ears. All right, so is everyone ready? Okay, here we go. I am going to put this down. So a couple people said that their antlers are different. So I'm going to have to look it up again. Maybe I read it wrong. Maybe they are different. I know that each antlers are unique and that every reindeer's antler is different. But I could be totally wrong and maybe, so you guys have a little research to do. You guys should look up whether the antlers are different or the same on each side. So I'd love to know. I would totally love to know. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up a smaller canvas and we're going to do it together. You ready? All right, I have a small paintbrush and we're going to do all these steps again. Here are the colors I have today. So you can use markers, you can use colored pencils, you can use watercolor. This is going to use brown for our reindeer, white, so I can make it a little bit lighter inside the ears. And so I can make the antlers just a little bit of a lighter tan. I have black so we can outline it later. And so I could put black in the eyes. I have red. I have 2 kinds of red because I couldn't decide which one I wanted to use. So you'll have to help me choose. I have gray. I have green for the trees and I have blue for the sky because I think I'm going to do a blue sky in the background. Okay, I'm going to grab my paintbrush and I have a little cup of water. And I'm just going to get started. Is everyone ready? I have another trivia question for you. Ready? So what is another name for reindeer? Certain parts of the world call reindeer another name. And I wonder if you know what it is. Does anyone know what it is? So we call them reindeer, but there's also another name for reindeer. Do you know what it is? Let's see if anyone knows it. It begins with the C. Begins with a C. If anyone knows, let me know. Okay. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to grab caribou. Very good, Blake. Caribou. That's right. So another name for reindeer in certain parts of the world is caribou. First step. Remember the first step? We are going to do the bottom of the reindeer's face. Okay. Kind of snout. So we're going to do off to the side, not right in the center, off to the side. We are going to, I have brown on my paintbrush. Okay, brown on my paintbrush. So you can just use a pencil if you want to do all these steps first, or if you want to go right for the paint, that's fine too. I just have a little bit of brown. And I'm just going to sketch everything in and then paint it later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do that circle all the way around in brown paint. And it's diagonal. Okay, it's off to the side because I want it to look like it's a reindeer selfie. Like he's sticking his face into my camera and taking a picture. My kids have done that a couple times, right? All right, so there we go. It's the bottom of his face. Now we're going to do the top of his head. I'm going to take another dip in my brown paint. Just want to make sure you can see the painting. Okay, and now we're going to do the top of his head. And remember, when the video is on, you don't have to go fast. You can take your time and do this. You can do it after the video turns off. You know all the steps and we're doing it again, but just take your time. If you just want to sketch it in now and then work on it for a long time later, this is a fun one to work on. Okay, so now I'm going to do the top of his head. And that It's a big rainbow shape. There you go. Everyone good? Okay. If you don't have red, just improvise. Use another color. Reindeer, you could be a different color. Doesn't matter. You can do black. Do you have black? Just be creative. Doesn't have to be the same as mine. Could be different. Okay. Plus, that's what makes it interesting. So we all have different reindeer. That's what makes it fun. Okay, next we're going to do those ears. We're going to go up to the top. I'm just going to do one ear here, one ear here. So I just go up. I don't want it too pointy, and then down, up, and down. And then so I remind myself, I want a little bit of shading inside the ear. I'm just going to put a little of my brown paint in there. Okay, because if we look inside the sample, you see how I made it a little bit of a lighter color inside. I outlined everything at the end. That's why there's the black lines around it. Okay. Okay. Next step. Dip my paint again. I'm still staying with brown. All these lines get covered up at the end with our black outline, so don't worry about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that oval right here for his nose or her nose, the name for your reindeer and for my reindeer. We need some really creative names. Reindeer or caribou usually have some cool names. So if you have any ideas, let me know. But maybe you have to see the personality first, right? This one has a very friendly personality. He's very, very friendly. Let's see how this one turns out. It's silly or friendly, okay? So you have to name my reindeer. Next, I'm going to put that big smile on my reindeer because I want him smiling at me the whole time. Big smile. And I'll probably paint over that later with the brown, but I know where it is and I can just put it on later. Okay, another dip in the brown. I'm doing everything with brown at first. Okay, so what I'm going to do next are the eyes. The eyes are on the side of the head. So I'm going to do those two arc shapes, rainbow shapes, actually like the top of the eyelids. Ah, it looks so friendly, doesn't it? Okay, next I'm going to put those eyeballs in. So I'm just taking my paintbrush. Eventually this is going to be black, the eyeballs. Just rolling it around. Take my paintbrush and roll it around. And then I'm going to put a little arc shape underneath. Underneath. Okay? That's cute. So cute. Next, I'm going to go down and I'm going to do his neck. Okay, because he's leaning over, trying to get my cell phone, right? So I'm going to put my two lines right here for the neck. And then we're going to put that fun collar on. And it's just lines again. You do a lot of things with lines. I put my paint on my lap so I don't have to keep reaching over. So you're going to take your line. Do you see how I did that? I made a little curve so it looks like it's wrapped around the neck. And then just watch me. I'm going to put a little line here. And then I'm going to do another line. And this is all going to get painted in then with a fun color, probably red. Okay, if that's too hard for you, just do two lines, no big deal. Just want to show some of the people who have been painting every week how they could do a little bit of shading. Inside of there, we're going to do some black, and then that's going to be whatever fun color you want. And you can decorate this collar for the antler. I'm probably going to put jingle bells on mine, but you can put whatever you want on yours. Okay, next I'm going to do the antlers. So I don't know whether they match or they don't match, but I'm going to try to make them match, but you guys can look up whether they're supposed to match or not. Because in and oh, it goes behind his ear. He has one antler right now. He's so cute. I can't wait to see yours. I hope you share them with me because I want to see your reindeer. It'd be so fun to see all your reindeer smiling at me, right? Capital Blue would love to see it too. It'd be so fun. All right, so we're gonna take our paintbrush and go up and out, up and out. And don't worry if it goes right off the canvas or the paper, that's cool, right? It looks like it's like leaning into our picture here. And then I'll just put a little line behind the ear like I did over here. Just so it looks like the antler is coming behind the ear. Okay. I have another question for you about reindeer. They eat all the time. They eat one thing all the time. All the time. Does anyone know what they eat? What reindeer eat? If you don't know, I can tell you. You can take a guess. Oh, carrots is a good guess. Carrots is a good guess, Pierce. But they actually eat grass. Very good, Olivia. Does anyone know what the special type of grass that they eat is? It's usually found, it's like moss kind of like, and it's usually found in frozen areas. So do you know what it's called? Begins with an L. Not celery, it's a type of grass and it looks like moss. So I'm gonna tell you, it's a type of grass called lichen, Lichen, and that's what reindeer like to eat, lichen. So it's kind of cool, right? So it's like mossy green stuff, but I'm sure they like carrots and celery too, because it's so healthy for you. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna decide what I'm gonna put in my background, because I want all of our outlining to just dry for a minute before we put our reindeer colors in. So I am gonna put my little paintbrush down, and I'm gonna grab a bigger paintbrush, and I've decided, even though I didn't do it on the original, that I am going to do a blue background around my reindeer just to see what it looks like. Okay, so I want a blue sky, right? And that's pretty good for making it look like it's in like a cold area. So I'm gonna take blue. So your next step is you're going to just paint a color or color a color, if you're using markers or crayons, behind our reindeer. You're gonna try to skip the reindeer and the antlers and not get anything on them. But if you do, you know it's not a big deal. You see, like I just hit the brown by accident. That's all right. I'll just put a tree there. So you're just gonna take your time. I'm gonna put some blue around him. So it looks like he's in a cold area. He likes the cold, so I don't want him to get too warm. So I want to make it look kind of frosty for him. Okay, nice and blue and cold. Might put some snowflakes on here later. Okay, take your time. Do nice. But like I said, we outline him at the end, so it's not a big deal. Okay, I'm gonna hold it right. Different color besides blue. Does anyone have a different idea for the background? I'm gonna do a blue sky with some snow, and I'm gonna do those trees that I showed you. Does anyone have another idea? I would love to hear what you're coming up with. Like, this is your painting, you're the artist, so I wonder what you're gonna put in the background of your reindeer painting. It would be so fun to find out. Take your time. When you have it in between all those antler marks, reindeer are cool, aren't they? Let me see what else I know about it. Oh, this was fun that I learned about reindeer. They're good swimmers. Did you know that? I didn't know they were good swimmers. I didn't think they could swim, but they're good swimmers. I had no idea. I learned so many things when I'm doing these paint classes with you, because I try to look up facts about the things that we're doing. And I learned all this stuff about reindeers, that they like to swim, that they eat lichen, that they're called caribous in certain areas, that they actually do have red in their nose because their blood vessels in their nose keep them warm. It's just incredible. And okay, so Kay Rose is doing a Christmas tree in the background. Oh, I can't wait to see how you're going to decorate your Christmas tree. I cannot wait to see that. Probably going to put ornaments and lights. It's going to be so awesome. That reindeer is going to be so happy, Kay Rose. There's a Christmas tree in the background. Okay, let's see. Olivia is putting a photo bombing reindeer in the background. So this guy's taking a reindeer selfie, and then they're doing another reindeer in the background photo bombing. So clever. This is awesome. Look, this reindeer is funny. He's like smiling. I need a name for him by the end of this. Okay, so I have my blue in the background. I'm gonna let that dry. It'll dry in just a couple minutes. I'm gonna wash off my paintbrush. I'm gonna dry him off. I'm gonna dry the paintbrush off. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to my reindeer and start painting him in, okay? He looks like you want some paint on him. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna take the brown. I'm gonna make sure this paintbrush is all dried off though, because I don't want it to drip. So I have just brown on my paintbrush again. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paint all around the nose. So this bottom part here. Now I'm gonna have to go over the mouth, but it's not a big deal, right? Because we all know that we can put the mouth back on at the end because we know where it is. So it's really not a big deal. I just want you to see where it went. It's kind of our secret now that it's under there. And it's going to come back out in a couple minutes. So just going to paint over it instead of trying to get really close to it. It's just easier to go over it because the black will go right on top of it. So I painted all around his nose. I painted over his mouth. Okay. Silly way to paint, right? Paint right over his mouth. Kind of looks like he has a donut right in the middle of his face. This eventually would be red. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my hands over here. It's still wet. I'm going to have paint all over me. All right, so I'm going to hold it right here. I'm going to dip in the brown again. I'm going to put a little bit of brown under his neck. I'm going to skip that color. I'm going to put some brown under here. Just going to rub my paintbrush there. I can still see the lines for the color. I'm going to turn that a color in a little bit. So for a couple minutes, our reindeer is going to turn like a really deep brown, but it's not a big deal because in a little bit, we're going to outline everything. And you can still see where his eyes are, right, everyone? So you're going to put brown inside his head. And if you wanted to make it a lighter brown color, if you want a really light colored reindeer, you could, of course, mix a little bit of brown and a little bit of white. You don't have to do a dark brown reindeer if you don't want. Okay, so I'm going all around. He's still smiling. I can still see that smile, even though I painted over it. He is a happy reindeer. Must have fed him some lichen, right? Okay. All right. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the ears and I'm going to do the ears brown, and then I'm going to start adding a little bit of the light brown. So brown, brown. So those are all the places that I'm adding the brown, okay? I'm adding the brown around the outside of the ears. The brown goes all inside the top of his head. The brown goes all inside the bottom here of his head, which is actually his snout. The brown goes in the bottom of his neck, okay? And remember, take your time. You don't have to do it as fast as I'm doing it. You can take your time, finish it later. I just want you to see the steps. The next thing I'm going to do is I am going to mix the brown with a little bit of white. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that because I just need a little bit. I have brown on my paintbrush, and I'm just going to take a little dip of white, tiny dip, just a tiny dip, and then I'm going to find a place on my paint plate and just mix it so I get a light brown. Just, I dipped it in the red by accident. I dipped it in the red by accident. So hold on a second. I have to wash off my paintbrush and dry it off. That's okay. Mistakes happen all the time. But I don't think I want a like red ears, so I'm gonna, or red antlers, so I'm gonna just wash that off. So I'm gonna do brown and white and just mix it. And I'm gonna stay away from the red this time. I'm gonna mix it for a light brown, just a little bit. You don't have to mix all of that brown and all of that white. You just need a little bit, okay? So I'm gonna go inside the ears because I want inside the ears to be a light brown. Just want a little bit lighter than the rest of the head, and then inside this ear, okay? And I'll do that light brown for the antlers. So the light brown is gonna be like a tan color, and the tan color is gonna go inside these antlers. So I'm gonna paint over those lines that we made, those brown outlines, paint over each one. I'm gonna skip the ear. The antlers go around the ear. I can't wait to see your antlers too, because I bet all of our antlers look so different, right? And then these will really stand out at the end because what we'll do is we'll outline everything with black really carefully, and then it'll make it really pop. It'll make it really stand out. So we have some light brown in the background there. Let me show you the sample again. We're getting there, right? We have the brown in. Oh, the one I did today is a lot darker than this one. Oh, look, they're so different. I love it. Each time I do it, each time I do a painting, it turns out differently. I was trying it before we even turned on the video, and they were all turning out different. So each time you do this reindeer, I bet it's going to be different. And I think it's really important that you show someone else how to do this reindeer, because now that you know how to do it, you can teach the art. You can show someone else what you know about art and share your knowledge. And I think that's really important. So show someone how to do this, because this would be really fun. It's a really fun project to do. Okay. Do you guys have any names for your reindeer yet? Any names? Definitely gonna name mine Smiley, I think, because he's just so smiley. Even when his smile got covered over, he's still smiling. I can still see it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I am going to go into the red. I am going to do red nose, and I'm going to do a red collar. Pierce named his George. I like that. George the reindeer. Okay, so I'm going to do, I had 2 different reds on my plate, remember? I am just going to like change the red. So I might do the bright red on his nose and a darker red on his collar. And if you want to change your red that you have at home, you can always mix a little bit of brown in the red, and it'll make it just a little bit darker. So Olivia's naming hers Tinsel and Jingle. Those are good holiday words like that. Okay, so I'm going to go around. See how bright that is? That oval. And if you go outside the lines, honestly, no big deal, because we're going to outline it all and clean it all up. Okay, so there's his red nose. Red nose, and now I'm going to do the dark red for his collar. So I'm going to do the dark red all across his collar, and when that eventually dries, I am going to put some designs on that, or some jingle bells, or some little snowflakes, or some little polka dots, or something, like something fun for my reindeer. Okay, so he looks very holiday. And I think you should try to get your brown as close to the collar as you can. I left a little bit of space, and I think you'll like it a lot better if you can get it really close to that collar. Okay. All right. So I'm going to wash the red off really good. So really well, excuse me, really well. Okay. All right. So I'm going to dry this off. There you go. All right. Before I do the black, because the black is a really powerful color, I want to do the background. I want to do the trees in the background. I do the black last, because the black will make my water black, and then it just gets everything a little bit messy. So I'm trying to save the black for the very last step. Okay, so if you can do that, that would be a good idea too. I am going to take the brown again, and I'm going to make trees in the background. I'm going to show you how I make my trees. They're really simple, but just they're just really fun to do. So what I do is I put some lines in the background, and I don't want all my trees to be the same, so they don't go over my reindeer. They stop behind him, because I want the trees to look like they're in the background. Okay, in the background. So I have some lines there. I have 4 trees. I'm going to wash off my paintbrush. I'm going to dry it off. And then what I do is I kind of just wiggle my paintbrush, and I make green leaves, okay? Or green evergreen. So I just kind of wiggle it. Can you see that? Let me make my green just a little bit brighter. Kind of wiggle my paintbrush. No, you can't see that either. Hold on. I want to make sure you can see it. I'm going to make my green really dark green so you can see it. So I just kind of wiggle my paintbrush, and I leave a little space in between some of the branches so that brown bark is showing through. Wiggle it up to the top, and the top gets really teeny tiny. Okay, so I don't want the trees to touch too much. And you can do your trees however you want, but I just kind of wiggle my paintbrush. I bet you have different ways to make trees too, right? This is dark green. So I want the reindeer to be the focal point of my painting, the main part of my painting. And I want the trees to just fall in the background. So we don't really notice them, but we kind of know that they add something to the picture. So I'm not getting too detailed on my trees, okay? If you want that to be a really tall tree, you can have some of it sticking out up here like that. I'll put some more. Can you see that? Some tall timbers here, tall trees. And then just to brighten it up just a little bit, once that green dries, I'll put some snow, some dots of snow on each one of those tree boughs, parts of the tree. Okay, little dots of snow. And you guys are so lucky because you can look outside today and see what a tree looks like with the snow on it. It looks so beautiful. Just beautiful, isn't it? Snowfall on trees is just so pretty. So I'm just taking my paintbrush and just putting dots of white on it. Okay, I want this reindeer to feel at home, like he is in the cold tundra or the North Pole or Antarctica, somewhere where it's nice and cold, or the Arctic, right? The Arctic. Okay, there. Now, once you have some snow on the trees, you can put some snow in the background, on the bottom. And then I love making snow. You can take white on your paintbrush and you can do little dots of snow all over the background. You can spend a lot of time doing that, just filling it. The more dots you put on, honestly, the cooler it looks. Can you see that? I'm trying to get it towards my camera. Okay, so, and then, or you know this trick from painting with me before, you can take the bottom of the paintbrush, the end of the paintbrush, the wooden part, and dip it in the white, just get a little bit of white on it, and make dots all over. And I think that is so much fun too. Now you don't want to put too much snow. If you want some snow on the reindeer, you can put a couple little drops, but you want it to look like the snow's in the background and he's right in front of your camera smiling. So you put little dots all over. And if you use different size paintbrushes, you'll have different size dots. So you can put dots all over, all over, all over. I can make snow for days. I think it's so fun. Okay, and you have to remember how to make snow for next week, because next week, guess what we're doing? We're doing a snowman next week. Really cute snowman. Really cool. Okay, so we're gonna do a big snowman next week. We'll make snow. Might add some animals to the snowman painting. I don't know. You guys are gonna have to help me think of like what we can add to the painting. We can add a bird. We can add, I don't know, whatever you guys want. We can add it, but we'll do a really cool snowman painting next week. So hopefully you can join me because we have lots of fun things coming up. Snowman painting. And I love doing the shading on a snowman painting and making all the snow. And I think you guys will really love it and have fun doing it. Okay, so we have the background, we have our reindeer shape in, we have the colors in. Before I do the black, I think I'm gonna add some designs to my reindeer collar. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, let's put, what should I put on my reindeer collar? Maybe some little snowflakes. So what I'm gonna do is I'll do some snowflakes like that. Okay, it's just a dot. Make sure you can see it. Maybe switch to a small brush and then just do lines going out from it. And then if you get really creative, you can go back and add little like dots along the side of it. Make each snowflake different. You could put his name on the collar if you want. You could put the jingle bells on the collar if you want, like I did in the sample. Okay, let me show you. For the jingle bells, if you want to do that. Okay, so get really creative because there's a million different ideas you can have for the collar. Oh, I kind of like this though. That's cool. All right, so I am going to wash off the white because the next color I'm going to go into is black. And I don't want to mix my black and white because I'll end up with gray. I really want black, really, really bold black. I want this to be a bold reindeer, bold reindeer, okay? So I'm washing off the white, I'm drying it off, and here we go. You want to make sure it is really dry so it doesn't drip, right? So sometimes I just take my hand and just go over my paint bristles just to make sure it's all dry. And then I am going to take a dip in the black. And the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to do those eye. Can you hear me, guys? All right, I lost you for a minute, but let me know if I can still hear you or if you can still hear me. Good? We good? Okay. All right. So our next step is, oh, good. I'm glad you can all hear me. All right. So our next step is we're going to do the eyeballs first. And the reason we do the eyeballs first is because I just want them to dry so I could put a little bit of a highlight in at the end. So I have black on my paintbrush. And I'm going to do 2 circles, just outline those circles again. And the only reason I'm doing this first is so it dries. Okay, so I'm just going to paint that in. Just paint that in. Nice and bold and black, okay? Because you want nice circles there. And then what I did was I did that arc shape over top. You can leave it like that if you want. Some of the artists that I worked with before, they did like eyelashes on it. They got really creative with this part. So I am going to do the arc under here. Upside down arc, actually. Okay. And I'll just let that dry for a little bit. Then I'm going to start outlining all the steps that we did. So I'll start with the nose. And I'll just take my time and I'll go around, and the outlining just cleans up. Like if you went outside of the lines at all, okay? You see how that looks to me? It looks a little nicer already for me because I went outside. Well, I always go outside the lines, but I went outside the lines a lot. So it kind of just cleans it all up for me. I'm going to go around here, take my time, and I'll do underneath. Take my time. I don't put too much paint on my brush. I'd rather just dip it again. I'm going to do that rainbow shape that we did at the top for his head. I'm probably going to skip the ears though. If you want to do here, you know what? I actually am. Just do all the steps that we did before. We're getting there, right? Think of names for your reindeer. I wonder what you guys put in the background too. Would love to know. Christmas tree, what else do we have? Christmas tree, the photo bomber. Ears, he's looking cute. I'm gonna go inside the ears, right where we did that light tan color. Right there. I'm gonna move my hands over here. My tree's still dry. Okay, I'm gonna do his neck. Line for his neck. There's my neck, right there. You probably can't fit that much part because remember I told you we could do a little bit of shading here. There's a little space between the collar and his neck, just a little space. So I put a little black in there, just a tiny little black. And now I'm going to outline the collar. Oops, I dropped my paint. Hold on. I have the paint on my lap. Okay, so I am going to just outline my collar. Do the line down and outline the bottom of the collar. Do a little line here, just like that. Okay, so I put a little bit of black there. I put the line down. I outlined, and then a line down. Oh, I got a little bit of red right here. I'll just turn that into a heart or something, right? Okay. Ooh, a mountain. Who put a mountain? Oh, Ellie put a mountain in the background. That's awesome. With snow on it, Ellie? That's cool. That's a great idea, a mountain. I didn't even think of that. Okay, next I'm going to outline the antlers. Just take your time. Go around each antler, up and down. Let's get more black on my paintbrush. Up and down. Looks cool, right? The background stays really muted and the reindeer is the one that's really bold. Okay, so it looks like he's right in front of our camera. Look at, oh, his mouth. I forgot to put his mouth on. So I was like, something's missing. What's missing? I painted over his mouth. I forgot to put it back on. I'm sorry, buddy. All right, so I'm gonna do a line. Put that mouth on. Ah, there you go. Now he's happy. Then I'm gonna wash off my paintbrush. Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna use the bottom of the paintbrush for the highlight so that I don't make a mess. So I have a little bit of white on my paintbrush. I'm just gonna put a dot of white in there and a dot of white there. I love putting the highlight in my little animals because I think it makes them come to life. It makes them so cheery and just vibrant. So I love doing that. Okay. And then our last step, I'm going to put the bigger paintbrush down. I'll wipe off that white. I'm going to get the smaller paintbrush again. And I am going to sign it. Oh, let's see. I put a Christmas tree, presents, hot cocoa, and a wreath. Oh, wow. That's awesome. That is quite the background. That sounds like I want to jump in the background there. That sounds really cozy. All right. So what I'm going to do is, because I made that paint splatter right there, which I always do, I'm just going to make that into a little heart. And then I'm just going to sign my name right there. Okay, so I'm going to take black and then I'm just going to put Roey right here. And make sure you sign it because you are the artist and you are the one who's so creative today with your backgrounds and thinking of the names for the reindeer and all the different things you're going to put on it. So and the color. So make sure you sign it with your artist signature and take your time, have fun doing this painting. You could do it a couple different times, a couple different ways. Each time you do it, maybe you can change the color or change the background or change the swirls on the antlers. Let's see how big you can get them and twirly, right? And I'll play around with the face and see all the different things you could do to it. You could do a lot of different things with this painting and make a whole herd of reindeer. It'd be really cool. And remember, this would be a really fun project to do. All right, I hope everyone had fun and hopefully I'll see you next week when we paint a snowman together next Wednesday at 4. And thank you so much, Capital Blue Connect Health and Wellness Center, for allowing us to do this program because we have the best time. So thank you everyone for joining me and thanks for answering all my questions. And I hope you had a good time and I hope you have a great night. All right, bye everyone. You're welcome.
Okay.